All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started here. Welcome to the V1 Pro Studio Software overview. My name is Will Clark. I'm the Customer Success Manager here at V1 Sports. I'm also joined by a couple different V1 employees, but specifically I want to mention Jackson Bushway. Jackson works with me in customer success as well, and he's going to be picking off questions in the chat box. So if you have any questions that come up in real time, just feel free to submit them to the chat box, and he's going to try to pick them off. But if at the end anybody has any questions, you can reach out to us a number of ways. You could reach me at will.clark@v1sports.com. You could reach Jackson directly at jackson.bushway at v1sports.com. And then you could reach either one of us at customer-success@v1sports.com. So I understand there's probably some people in here that have the software, probably some who don't, who are looking to just get a quick demo of what's going on. If you are interested in a trial or you're interested in signing up for a subscription, please reach out to sales@v1sports.com. And one of our salespeople would be happy to reach back out to you and discuss your needs and try to get you set up with the right subscription and maybe discuss some hardware if you need it. So reach out there if you need any help with that. And with that, let me go ahead and jump into the software here. This is the V1 Pro. This is the new version of V1 Pro. So you'll notice if anybody has been using Pro HD, you'll notice some differences in the coloring. And there are a couple different features, so I will detail those. But let's go ahead and jump into it here. When we first open up the software, you get to this page, which we like to refer to as the Start Options Exit menu. On the left here, you've got a couple things. First of all, this is the V1 Pro news, so if there's any new products that we're coming out with or anything that we want you to know about, it's going to show up there, so always keep a lookout for the V1 Pro news. If I click it, it'll actually minimize. The only one I really want to detail here in this session is the support links. So if you're ever having issues with any of your hardware, so your computer or your cameras, and it just can't be figured out with a simple training session, or phone call with customer success, we would have you reach out to support at V1 Sports. So support at V1 Sports, their email is support@v1sports.com. Reach out to them with any camera issues. We will facilitate that communication. So if you want to reach out to us and then have us walk it over to them or send it over to them, we'd be happy to. But if you just know that this is a hardware issue and it's going to be a difficult one, definitely reach out to those guys. They're more of our kind of lead tech support guys who are very familiar with the cameras and the hardware, so they'll be able to figure it out. And the link right there, the Screen Connect, so they will actually remotely log into your computer and jump in and make any fixes that they might need to make manually. The two links under there are the camera driver links. So if you need to update the drivers on your IDS cameras, this is where you're going to come. But I'm going to open up the Pro News again. On the right here, so this is where you'll actually log in. We do have some preset identities in there that have already been logged into this system. You'll see Michelle, and then obviously from the PGA show there, Show Orlando. I'm going to stick with Michelle for now. If I click Edit Login, there's a couple things here. This is where you'll verify your email and your password, as well as look at the status of your account. It says account verified. If you ever have any issues like have limited options, limited menus, you can't send a lesson, can't download a model, obviously your internet connection is a big one, but also come here and make sure that your account is showing as verified. You'll do that by entering your email and your password here and then clicking login now, and it should show the status as verified. If it does not, please reach out to us and we'll look into that for you. All right, that's pretty much it for the login. You could add a new instructor, you could delete instructors as well. The tutorials, so if you click on that, it'll actually show you some video tutorials that we have for the system, some simpler topics, much of what I'm going to cover here today. I do know that a lot of those videos are beginning to migrate over to YouTube. So please check out our V1 Sports YouTube page, click the subscribe button, and you'll be notified of any new videos that are coming out. I do know we are pushing out content on what seems like a daily basis, for sure weekly, with videos ranging from the V1 Golf app all the way to the V1 Pro app, V1 Studio, So there's a lot of information that's starting to come out via video content on our YouTube page. So feel free to look there. I'm going to show you the options menu really quickly before we jump into the software. And there's just a couple tabs on here that I want to share. The live video tab is one. This is where your cameras are going to show up. If you're not seeing a camera show up here, there's probably a connection issue. You know, usually you're just unplugging and replugging the camera in to get it to pop up. You might need to exit the software and reopen it or something like that. Just kind of troubleshooting it. You can kind of help yourself by taking a look and seeing what's connected. The cameras, so the camera tab, this is one of the features that has changed in the new version. You have the ability to actually set the camera to any input that you want. So you'll see I have camera 3 is actually set as integrated webcam. So I can actually change that to none, and then it allows me to set the integrated webcam to whatever camera I want. So the new feature is that you can actually you know, put any input that you want for any camera. So rather than have it list it kind of chronologically or how it's connected, so instead of down the line being always camera 1, you could make the down the line camera 4 if you feel like it, okay? So it gives you a little more freedom with selecting the cameras and assigning them to the right inputs. There's some other stuff in here that I won't go into, but just know that it's here. This is the trigger, so this is the excuse me, hit mic trigger settings, so you could change those. Some playback settings you could change, some display settings. The main thing though here is going to be the system info tab. So this is where your serial number is displayed. If you ever call for support on the studio side, that is going to be the first piece of information that we likely ask you for, is what is your serial number. So just know that it's here, and that's how you find it. But I'm going to hit cancel for now, and we're going to get into the software. So I click start and it goes ahead and opens it right up. So I'm going to break down the interface first. I'm going to show you what the top, the right side, and the bottom all mean. So top, right side, bottom. And then we'll get into kind of, I think we're going to focus on creating a lesson, you know, especially in this time, this kind of crazy time that we're going through. I think the main focus should be connecting with your students and delivering online lessons to them. So we will focus on that, but let me get through kind of the nitty gritty here, and then we'll go through that lesson portion. Up at the top is really just video storage. So these colored lines with, you know, different names like stored, models, drills, lessons, all video, those are just bins. We call them B-I-N-S, bins. If I right click on no category, you'll see the bin menu. So you see it says bin right here, but this is the bin menu. A couple different things that you can do in here. You can change the name of the bin, make it unique. You'll notice at the top I changed one of mine to WC lessons, which are my initials, but you can change it to be unique. So if you wanted one to say junior golf, for instance, or something like that, you could always change it to say that. The big thing on the bin menu is the import button. So you'll notice that here at the bottom left. If I click on import, it's going to open up our file explorer, and that allows us to pull in any video files that we want to. So this brings me to how you're going to be receiving videos from your students. There's two ways really that you're going to receive videos from your students. One is through the V1 system. So if they have the V1 Golf app, they could record themselves and send you those videos. The other way that they're going to record or send you videos are via text message or email. So in order to get those into your system, you're going to have to save those onto your computer. So if you get one via email, download it and then save it. It'll probably show up here under downloads or documents. Get that saved onto your computer, and then you could come into the bin here, click the import button, and actually import that video into the system. Okay, so very, very simple, but very important to know the two ways that you're going to receive videos and how to get them into the system. I will show you how to download videos that are sent through V1 here in a second, but this is how you're going to import those that are not. All right, so let me hit cancel, and I'll hit cancel again. So these videos, or these bins, are going to store videos. You'll see each bin has different videos stored in them. I don't have anything under lessons or drills, but I do have some models downloaded, obviously, and I do have some stored video content, right? So I have some older videos from 2018 there. And then no category is kind of a catch-all for all videos that I create. So you'll see I've created a couple other videos. I've done some practice ones of video screens in front of me. I'm sure there's a computer one here somewhere, and so on and so on. So there's a bunch of different videos in here, and it's kind of a catch-all. This category, no category, will actually change to the student's name when you select them as the current student, and I will get into that here in a second. But let me show you first the video files. So these are the colored blocks that show up in the video or in the bins. So I'm under no category, and it's technically here going right? If I click on stored, it's the same thing. It starts here and it goes all the way to the right. So when you can kind of tell that it's a depressed button once I've pressed it, and that's the bin that you're in, and you're viewing those blocks that are underneath it. Okay. If I hover over one of the video files, so I get a couple of things. Excuse me, I get the student information, so who this student is, the instructor that was, the current instructor when this video was created. A couple other pieces of information. I can also use a star system, so I can star that video if it's one of my favorites. I can also select it to be deleted. You could also just bring it into the play window here and then click the trash can, but you could also select it and then go over to the trash can and delete it. You'll see the check mark is still there. But the big one here I want to show you is the edit button. So you click edit and it brings open the video info file. So a couple things that I can do on here. One is I can change the student, right, which is really important. I can also change the instructor. I could put in some information, maybe launch monitor information in here. I could put in notes on the video, so if there's any notes that I want to remind myself of the next time that I open up this video, I can also put those in there. All right, let me hit cancel though. So really that's it for the top part. I like to try to simplify it as much so that people don't get intimidated by everything that's on the screen. But everything up at the top is video storage, bins and video files. So that's all you really need to know. I'm going to move on to the buttons here on the right, and then we'll get into the tools, but I do want to concentrate on these two buttons right here, the student database and the academy. So we do have a back and forward button, and then obviously an exit button. The tooltip, so this question mark that's highlighted, if you highlight this, and you'll notice it's highlighted right now. If I click it again, it's no longer highlighted. If highlighted, when you hover over a button, it's going to tell you what that button does. So obviously the scissors is our trim button. I'll come down to our clock that says clock. The play button says play. You get the point. So I don't know why anybody would ever turn this off. Frankly, I would always leave it on. I think it's a good idea. No matter how savvy you are on the system, it gives you that, opportunity to remember exactly what is what. Maybe you don't use the posture tool very much, so you're not sure what it does after a while. Maybe you have never used the snapshot button. So a couple different, really helpful ways that it's going to help you, but definitely keep it highlighted. Let me jump into these two buttons though. I'm going to start with the students. So this is our student database. Don't get intimidated by all this. This is just the information that goes into a student file. All the students or student files that I have are listed here on the left. So you'll notice I have a lot of professionals in here, but I do have a couple familiar names, including my own, a couple fake ones of me. And I've done a couple of test webinar ones, which we're also going to do here in a second. But this is all your students on the left, and this is the information that you can enter for each student. You'll notice the bottom buttons here at the bottom. Let me just detail these. So import is where you're going to import a list of students, maybe from an Excel sheet. Exporting students is just like it sounds. You're actually exporting them to an Excel sheet. And then syncing students. So syncing students is a big one. That is syncing all of the students associated with your academy. If you're working on multiple devices, you're working on the phone and you're entering some students on the phone or the iPad, as long as you've taken an action with that student, meaning sent them a lesson or sent them a video to their locker, when you hit sync students, that student data is going to show up in the desktop. So even though it's just on the iPad, as long as you've taken an action, when you hit sync students, that student data is going to show up in the desktop. So it's just a way to bring all your student data into whatever device you want. If you're working on just the desktop side, obviously you're not going to need to worry about that as much, but just know that it's there. Edit and delete. Obviously, we can edit some information if we wanted to. We could delete students. I'm going to actually enter a brand new one. So we're going to put in a new one here, and we're going to call it Webinar Pro Studio. And we're going to put in an email as webinar series at v1sports.com. All right. We need the name and we need the email in order to save a student, right? So now we can hit the save button. I do recommend the phone number though, and I'll explain why. The phone number gives you as an instructor a second chance to deliver that lesson in case you get the email wrong. So highly, highly, highly stress that you get the email right because it's the main source for delivering these lessons. And on that note, if anybody does have students who are using the V1 Golf app, definitely make sure you get the email that they use to log into the app, right? Because if you don't, then it's not going to go to the app. Whatever email they're using to log in is what you need to enter as their student file email, okay? But again, back to the phone number, this gives them a second chance to receive that video. When you send out a lesson, one of the more common things we hear from customers is, hey, I didn't get that lesson from Will. Can you help me find it? Usually we go in and we check this for you, but usually it's a student email is wrong by like a character. So maybe it says .com or not instead of .net or something like that. So just always make sure you're verifying it. If you put in the phone number though, it gives them a second chance to receive that video. So hopefully you didn't get the phone number and the email wrong. You just got one or the other wrong. So they'll say, hey, I got the text message link, but I did not get the email. So you know to go back in and check your email and make sure that it's correct. But at least they've received the video. If you get both of them wrong, then you might be out of luck, at least until you get it fixed and then resend that lesson. But for now, just know to put in that phone number and make sure you click CC smartphone to make sure that that video is going to actually go to them. All right. But I'm going to hit save now because we've got this Webinar Pro Studio student, and you'll see now they're listed here in my student files. I'm going to select this student as current, and I mentioned this before, but I want to go into more detail. We want you selecting whoever you're working with as the current student. And what this does is it makes it so that not only they have their own bin, so you'll see the no category bin up here. When I hit select as current, that bin is going to change to say Webinar Pro Studio. Okay, so that makes it so that everything we create after that point is automatically associated with that student. And it's also a necessary step when creating an online lesson. Okay, so the lesson recorder or the lesson function is not going to work unless you've selected somebody as current. Okay, so just always remember that when you come into the system, no matter who you're working with, if you're working with Will Clark, you're going to click Will Clark and click select as current. You'll now see I have a bin here. I'm also listed down here as the current student. Okay, but let me go back and choose Webinar Pro Studio and you'll see it change again. So now select as current, and now Webinar Pro Studio has its own bin and is also listed as the current student. All right, so that's pretty much it for the student database. Enroll your students. That is the golden rule. Make sure you enroll your students. Put in their name, put in their email, select them as current. That should be the steps that you take with every single student that you bring in to work with, okay? Now I'm gonna jump into the Academy button here. So the Academy button, this represents that online academy that you have. It is everything that you're going to be doing with V1. I think you're going to find that you really do live in the student database button as well as the Academy button, but you're going to do a lot of stuff within this Academy button itself. So record lesson, this is the first page. I will go through this when we get to the lesson recording, when we do one, but this is where you will record that lesson. I'm going to jump to the tabs here though. So we have download queue. So we have a download queue here. Anything that you download is only going to flash into this tab for only about a second, so you don't really need to worry too much about it. You'll see what I mean when you download a model. It'll come over here, it'll show itself downloading, and then once it's done downloading, it's going to disappear from the queue. So, excuse me, not much to the download queue. Inbox. So inbox is important, and the key feature is that these are where the videos that are sent to you through the V1 system are going to show up. So if somebody sends you a video via the V1 Golf app, this is where that video is going to show up. And then you'll just simply click accept down here and download it onto your system. Outbox is everything that's waiting to go out. So if you've saved a video to the outbox, you can always come back here and then send it out by just simply hitting retry, and it'll send everything out that's waiting to go out. My Locker. So My Locker, when we set you up with an academy, both you and your students all get lockers. So you get a locker and your students get lockers. The V1 Golf app behaves as the locker for the student. So if you send a video to their locker or you send them a lesson, both are going to show up in the V1 Golf app. So again, very important. If it's up to me, I would have everybody download it. It's free. It makes it that much easier to communicate with the student, and it makes it that much more organized for the student, that all of their videos show up in one place, and it's just simply opening up an app to view those videos. Your Locker is a little different. So Your Locker for you is videos that you either want to hang on to or videos that you want to access across devices. So if you have a video that you want to hang on to for a while, I'll just show you an example here. Like maybe this is, a video of a computer screen. Let me find one with a golf club here. There we go. So maybe it's a video with, a specific thing that you want to remember or hang on to, or maybe it's a good example of a golf swing or a good example of a swing fall, whatever it might be. If you want to hang on to it, you're going to send that video to Your Locker. The other way is that you'll be accessing videos across devices this way. So if you're on a Premium Complete or a Complete subscription with us, you're going to have the ability to record both on the mobile devices and the desktop side. So if you record a video out on the driving range with your phone or your iPad, and then you want to work with it on the desktop side, you're simply going to share that video to Your Locker. And then once you've done that, you can come on to the desktop or the mobile, whichever direction you're going, pull open Your Locker and click the download video button. Okay, and that'll download that video from the cloud onto your device so that you can work with it there. Okay, so very, very simple, but important. The locker is very important to be utilizing, especially if you're doing one of those scenarios that I spoke of. Drills and intro clips. So drills and intro clips are one of the most powerful tools that the V1 system can deliver. I'm a very, very high on this as far as delivering lessons. So what this looks like is you can create an intro clip that will play before all of your lesson videos. It could be a talking head video where you're thanking the student for coming or for their business. It could be the country club logo or academy logo of your business that plays right before the lesson video, maybe with some elevator music or something going on behind it. And then the lesson video plays where you're doing your analysis with voiceover and telestration. And then obviously the third part would be adding a drill video. So if you're a better pro than me, you probably have 10 to 20 drills that you use at your fingertips on a regular basis. If you do, then it might be worth it to you to actually create videos of those drills. So you'll record yourself, you'll upload them into the system by hitting this button right here, import content, and then obviously you'll see that it's just another file explorer thing. So you're gonna need to download or save that video onto your computer, wherever you put it, whether it's downloads or documents. And then you'll just simply import that video here into your drills and intro clips. You'll see I have a bunch that are all related to the academy that I'm under. So these are different instructors, but I imported one just so that we could see it here a while ago, but I've been doing these demos for a while. But these drills are actually on the system. You can see because they're in black writing instead of grayed out. But for you guys, this would look like, a list of 10 drills and then maybe 1 or 2 intro clips. And then you could add those to the lesson videos when you see fit. I will show you how to do that here when we get to the lesson recorder again, but just know that this is where you're going to import those videos and this is where they're going to show up. All right. Model videos. So model videos, this is where you're going to come to download tour models. You either just click this or click the video and then click the download video button here, or you can just double click on the video and it's going to open up and start downloading. You'll notice that it comes in alphabetical order. The best way to navigate this is to use the date button. So if you actually click date, you'll see it goes all the way back to the oldest videos, but I'm gonna click it again to show me the new ones. These are the videos that are the most recently uploaded. So that's what the date is representing, is when that video was uploaded. So if you get a message from us in that V1 Pro News section, or you get an email or a Facebook post that says that we have updated our models and we've uploaded new ones, just hit that date button and you'll see the most recently uploaded. So obviously we have some from early March and then early February and even early January, it looks like. We try to do them once a month. Let us know if you ever have any requests on certain players. We do try to capture these on our own for the most part. So it is tough. We are going out to tournaments, so these tournaments need to be getting played, obviously. Hopefully we're there soon. But we will make an attempt to try to go out there and get any requests that you might have. So if there's a specific golfer you'd like to see, please email us, let us know, and we'll add them to the list. The history tab up here at the top again, I'm going back to the tabs. This is just a history of everything that we've done as far as sending or downloading. So we downloaded some models, we've sent lessons, we've sent videos, and that's all going to show up here in the history section. All right, but I'm going to exit out of that. And we'll get into kind of the buttons here real quick. I'm going to show you the comparison in the overlay tool, but I'm also going to just kind of skim through some of this, showing you the highlights. The learning curve on the drawing tools is about 5 minutes. Drawing a line, for instance, I'll just do this. Drawing a line is very simple. Pulling out a clock, it's just a matter of giving it a couple tries. And then if I use the selection arrow, which I'll detail here in a second, I can move it. But I don't want you to think that I'm going to skim over them and not show you anything. I will show you the highlights and maybe some of the ones that are less intuitive, but I also don't want to spend too much time just drawing lines and circles. But going back up to the top here, if I hover over it, this is the live video tab. So if you have cameras connected, you can just click that live video tab and it's going to show you the live feed of those cameras. The record button obviously is just self-explanatory. That's what you'll click to record. Once you're in the live video feed, you can click record and it'll just start recording right away. The compare tool. So let me get one ready here. We pull in a golfer. So we'll pull in this video. We'll click compare and we'll pull in the video right next to it for the right side. So now we have two videos, the same golfer, two different swings. And you'll notice, before I go any further, I want to point out this set impact button. So if you're using a hit mic, the set impact is going to happen automatically. If not, you will have to do this manually. And I will show you what this does really quickly before I go back to kind of the overlay and the compare. Setting impact point. So we have this golfer on the left, right? We're going to drag him all the way to impact. So let me step forward. There we go. He's right at impact. Hit set impact, right? So now it sets these 8 key positions. So let me go back to position 1. There we go. Position 1, position 2, position 3, 4, 5 on the way down, 6 at impact, 7 release, 8 finish, okay? And I'm gonna do the same thing on the right side. So I'm gonna drag this golfer to impact. Nice smooth swing here. All right, might be as close as we can get it based on the camera that they used. So we'll set that impact. And then we can do the same thing. So we can jump to position 1 once it stops lagging. There we go. So position 1, come on. There we go, 3, 4, 5 on the way down, 6 in impact, 7 release, 8 finish. All right, not sure why button 1's not working. Here, let's try to fix it. And this is a good tip to show you as well. If you ever feel like a position isn't matching, right? So if it's supposed to be address and he's here, what we'll do is we'll drag that golfer to address, right? And then we'll click and hold on 1 and it'll set a new point. So if you ever feel like the position is off, right? Like position 2, let's say. So we click on position 2. If we think he's a little too far in, we might drag that ball a little back and then click and hold on position 2 and it's going to set that new point. So you can really customize the positions but it's very, very helpful to set the impact point, and I'll show you exactly why. So you can navigate the swing much, much easier this way. Makes it really quick and easy to jump between the different positions. If I have the two videos under control at the same time, which let me show you that. So we have the ability to control the left video by clicking that. We can control the right video by clicking the opposite, and then the plus symbol right in the in the middle actually controls both videos. So if I want to control both videos and bring them both to impact, both to finish, both to address, both to position 3, right? So you see how useful that can be for navigating the video. Makes it that much quicker and easier to kind of go through. And that's how you sync them up. You just control both videos, and then we can hit play, and they're both going to play. All right. So that's it for comparison. Let me show you the overlay tool. So overlay, this is perfect because this is the same golfer shot from the same angle. If you can tell though, there are actually two separate videos laid on top of each other. So let me go back to address. There we go. I think impact looked a little different. So you can kind of see there's two golf clubs. There's one right here and one right there. So you can get a comparison. This is a great tool for showing progress. If the golfer has, if their stance is hunched over and you're showing them a down the line view, right? So this is face on right here, but maybe we're showing them a down the line view and they used to be hunched over, but now during their 5th lesson, you've got them standing up nice and tall. This is a great way to use the overlay tool because rather than having them look left and right, which the comparison tool is very, very effective, but rather than have them look left and right and make their own judgments over how much progress they've made, you can actually put it right on top of each other. And if they're hunched over in one and standing up in the other, they're going to see a dramatic difference and they're going to see it right in front of them. So it's a very, very powerful tool. I love using overlay for showing things like difference in the width of their swing. So if they were very narrow and now you have them wide, show them an overlay. Show them where that club was. Show them how long and extended their arm is now. That type of thing. So it's a very powerful tool. I'm going to click out of there though, and I'm actually going to get out of the comparison as well. So now we have our original video. Trim function, I'll just show you really quickly the trim. You just drag the bar to where you want the starting frame to be. All right. So I drag the bar to the starting frame. Maybe we want it here for some reason. And then the same thing for the ending frame. We drag it to where we want it to be. I'm not actually going to make any adjustments because I like where it's at. The big thing though, when you're trimming, so I think a lot of that's kind of easy to understand, the options right here. So this is a big one. Either replace the existing video or create a new video. So this is where if you want to trim the video, most of the time when you're trimming, you're probably just going to erase the existing. So this is where if a guy stands over the golf ball for 30 seconds before he takes the club back, and we've all seen that, you could trim that video, replace the existing, and you don't ever have to worry about it again. If you create a new video, so a way that I like to think of this is maybe you have the golfer take a couple swings in one recording, and then you decide that you like one of them. But you want to keep the recording with the 2 swings, you would create a new video and copy the tab info. So instead of getting rid of the 2 swings, you've now trimmed one of the swings out of that video, but you're leaving the 2 swing video alone. Okay, so that's a very important option. Definitely one of the more common questions on trimming. But I'm gonna hit cancel so it doesn't trim it because I like where it's at already. Print, so print is if you're connected to a printer. You can print out a snapshot of what's on the screen, really, really nice. The move tool, so this is a big one. So the move tool is huge. I'm gonna click on move. I could change the bin where these videos show up. I could send the video to a student's locker, so that's where you're uploading it to their locker. And when you do that, just be clear that there will be no telestration and no voiceover. So even if you drew lines on the screen, excuse my alarm there, even if you drew lines on the screen, those are going to not show up when you send just the video file, okay? So when you're sending a video to the student's locker, just know that My Academy locker is where you're actually going to upload it to your locker or to your cloud storage space, right? And then export obviously is also an option. So the export is just going to put it onto your computer, right? So it makes it so that it's on your computer and in your files. And then obviously we can just cancel or hit OK. So I'm going to cancel that. We're not going to move that anywhere. And then the delete option, that's just going to delete the video. So you would either highlight it or pull it into the play window. And then once you hit that trash button, it's going to get rid of it. All right. Then we get into the drawing tools. So we have the selection tool here. This is more for just grabbing already drawn shapes. I think you saw that with the circle, or I think it was the clock. We'll use the selection tool to kind of grab that and move it around. Let me erase that though. The text allows you to just put in text on the screen. So we'll just say hi, and it's going to put it right there. And I'll hit erase. But any, good opportunity to put in anything that you like. Maybe a swing thought, especially as you're sending these lessons remotely. You might put a swing thought. You might put something else, something that might help the student in that lesson. It could even be a motto that you use, whatever it might be. And you can also, let me just show you this again. You can also tell it to remember phrases. So if you have common phrases that you like, head down, you could always say, remember this phrase. And now you have memorized phrases. The only one I have right now is head down. So if you have ones that you use quite a bit, tell the system to remember that phrase, and then you could add that phrase wherever you like. All right. Let me get into the other tools. So this is the pencil. It's more of a freehand drawing tool. This is the straight line, so you can get that real nice straight line. This is going to be, I believe, the spline tool is what it's called, but it's more of like a connect the dot, and it creates a nice rounded shape, right? So you're just clicking where you want the next dot to be, and it'll kind of follow. The circle. So obviously the circle and the squares are very classic tools for any analysis software, but you can kind of put in whatever shapes you like. And a big thing, a good tip from us is use graphics. So when you're talking to your student and you're breaking their swing down and you keep, kind of going like this and saying, oh yeah, I see you're moving this, right? You put in some graphics. So put in some lines, draw their attention. Say, hey, I see your hips are moving, your shoulders are a little misaligned, whatever it might be. Use those graphics to draw that student in, okay? Angle measurements. So we have a nice tool for creating angle measurements. Maybe we're just gonna do, it's, here and then here, get a nice angle measurement out of that. The clock, I'll kind of skim through this again. Great tool. I actually think that the clock is a great tool for when you're in the live video feed, right? So if you have a student that claims they're taking it to 10 o'clock, but they're really taking it here to 1 o'clock and way over, kind of swinging over, past parallel, you could show them, just put the clock up and put them on the live video feed and say, all right, take the club to 10 o'clock. And when they take it to where they think 10 o'clock is, have them look up at the screen and they'll say, oh my God, I'm way past 10 o'clock, right? So you can kind of start to teach a little bit of awareness with that clock tool. So I think that's a very effective one. The grid tool is great if you ever want to use that. It's a fantastic tool. The posture tool, so you can imagine, let me try to find a down the line view here. So we have a down the line view, and we're going to get our posture going on this golfer, right? And we're going to get some angle measurements. So that's a really cool tool. We do have an undo button, right? So that undo button works much like it does on your Excel or Microsoft Word. You're just going to hit undo and redo, and you can kind of get back and forth between what you just drew and getting away from it. Then obviously clear gets rid of everything that you just drew. Right here is an option to actually do change the thickness of the line. So I could do a very thin line all the way up to a very thick line. I can also add one directional arrows and two directional arrows. So really, really good for any type of detail that you're trying to demonstrate. Definitely take advantage of the different widths or thicknesses as well as the arrows, because I think it'll help draw attention. If you want them to really look at those hands and the grip, put a line right there pointing right at it. Obviously, you can change the color on any of these. The only true recommendation we have is make sure you don't do like, black on black, for instance. So let me try black on black. So there you go. Black on black is almost impossible to see. So just make sure that you avoid doing common or the same color on top of one. the effects tools. So I'll get into these. Swing plane tools. So the effects tools are more, if these are analysis tools, let's say, or breakdown tools, these are more eye candy tools. These are things that'll draw attention. These are things that, will look good, kind of visually to the student. So I'll do a swing plane tool. We'll go here, and then we'll do the shoulder bisecting coming down to the club. Oh, there we go. So there we go. Oh, I should probably switch colors. So I'll switch to red. And we'll go to the swing plane tool. We'll go up to the shoulder. And then we'll put another line bisecting the club. Right, so it creates a nice shaded area to kind of show you the swing plane. Very cool tool. The magnifying or spot zoom, it just zooms in on one specific spot. So if you want to show them something with their feet or maybe their grip, right, you could use that zoom tool. The enhance tool, that'll actually brighten up the area that you square. And if you keep squaring it, I'm going to do another one. And another one, right? And it just brightens up that area. So if you want them to focus on something, you might brighten up that area, kind of draw their attention. This is just a zoom tool, so you'll click and go up and down. You can zoom in, and this is the ability to actually kind of move the video around. So those will become especially important in comparison, where you're trying to get the two golfers the same size within the frame of the video. The ruler actually measures bits, like the screen bits. So if you ever wanted to measure something, you could. The key positions. So let me go back to one of our videos where we have the impact point set. So we've set the impact point here. If we hit the 8 key positions button, this will show you the 8 key positions that we have set. So this is kind of that Golf Digest centerfold look, right? If anybody remembers those. Really cool. I've heard from different pros that they'll throw this up on the screen when they're doing their wrap up, right? So when they're talking to the student, they'll throw this up on the screen, kind of as visual eye candy for the student to look at as they leave. Another cool way to use this is to print it out. So if you do the 8 key positions, maybe you're printing this out for each student and then sending them home with the 8 key positions, and they can kind of look at this and maybe even just put it on the wall for fun. Very, very cool tool. The sequence tool. So what the sequence tool does is it takes the 8 frames beyond the first frame that you've set it at. So if I've got this, all the way here, it's going to show me the 8 frames after. Now, it might not look like much, especially because this is a higher speed camera, but obviously this position is a lot different from this. It's just showing you the 8 frames after. So this is going to be more for analyzing like a really small part of the golf swing. I like to imagine doing like impact, right? So we'll go to impact and we'll use our button to get there. And then we'll do the 8 key positions after, or 8 frames after. So here's impact, and then here's our 8 frames after. So if you're looking for a smaller space in time than just these 8 key positions, definitely recommend using the sequence tool. And then finally, we have the multiple exposure tool. I'll show you what this does here. I'm going to get it to the beginning, and we're going to go advanced frame by 2. You'll see it kind of gives you that, multiple club. I'm trying to think of, remember the Bobby Jones TV show? I think it's kind of that idea. It's giving you the, the sequence of the golf swing. So if we went to the top just to there, you'll see it goes just from the top. Kind of blurry, sometimes I think this works better with a down the line view. So let me try to find a down the line view here. And if we had a blue sky in the background, let me see if I can find one here. It's not bad. So we'll do the multiple exposure tool with Bryson here. We'll do key, you want to do frames position by 1, because if you do key frames, it's only going to do those 8 key positions. So we do advanced frame position by 2. We hit OK. You'll see the sequence, and you'll also see the ball get tracked a little bit. So very cool tool. If you can find a way to work that into your teaching or your demonstrating, it's a very, very cool tool to show off to people, kind of a wow moment tool, if you will. So that's it for kind of the right side here. So we've got video storage, just to recap, up at the top. We've got all our drawing tools and effects tools on the right. And then that brings me to the bottom here. So we have our video control tools. This is going to be a tempo clock. So this is the tempo of the golf swing, right? So even if the video is 10 seconds long, it's telling it, you know, because it's slow-mo, this is telling us that this took Bryson from the moment he took the club back only about 1.5 seconds, but it doesn't look like it has it right at address. So here's what we'll do, is we will actually address that by getting him to where we think he's going to start taking the club back. There we go, and that'll be addressed for us. So we'll click and hold, if you remember, new point set. And then we'll hit the tempo clock and we'll hit play. And there we go, we get a little bit more. Yeah, about the same though. So it's just giving you the tempo of the golf swing. This loop button, if you notice that the video keeps playing, if I turn this off, oh, there we go. The video will no longer loop. So you'll see that here at the end. It's just gonna end. There we go. This is the flip tool. So I'm sure many of you have seen this. This flips them from a righty to a lefty. Very powerful if you're not trying to show your lefty students, you know, Phil Mickelson for the 1000th time. Just go ahead and flip any righty to a lefty or vice versa. This is the tempo tool or the slow motion adjuster for when you're in slow motion. So let me go slow forward here. Oh, hold on. There we go. So we'll go slow forward, and this allows us to actually adjust the speed of that slow forward. So this is really, really slow. All the way to the right is full speed for slow. Okay, so that's how you'll adjust the slow motion playback. This is rewind, and then we have step reverse, pause, which I'll do right now, step forward. So this is where you're just going to be going frame by frame. And then obviously slow forward, I just showed you, and then regular playback. All right, so that's pretty much it for the video controls. Again, right here we'll say set impact, or it'll have the 8 key positions if you've already done that. This is where you'll see the current pro and the current student, so you know who you're working with right now. Let me get that tempo clock off. So, all right, now that we've gone over the interface and a lot of the functions, let me jump into the online lesson creation. So we have a student selected. Let me pull open a video here. I'm just gonna find a random one. There we go, one of the ones we were already working with. And we're gonna create a lesson out of this. So the main thing is that we have a video selected and we also have a student selected. Once we've done that, we can go to the Academy button, click on it, and you'll notice now begin lesson is no longer grayed out, right? So this gives us the opportunity to actually begin the lesson. This tells us who we're sending it to, so we can verify that. You can add people. So like, for instance, if a father-son combination comes in and you teach them both, and the father would like a copy of it, you could always add him and send it to him. You can also use our tag system, which if anybody is interested, please reach out. I don't probably have enough time to go into it right now, but I'd be happy to detail this for anybody. The tag system is great. You could tag different students under different tags. So we've created a few here, like 2017, World Golf Association. We have hybrid driver lefty. Imagine though that this might say junior golf, right? So we have 15 students, let's say, who are all tagged under junior golf, which I can show you really quickly here, where to do that. So you can create a tag, right? So you can add a tag right here to each student. So I'll click edit. I can add a tag. You'll see my list of tags. I can also edit the list and create new tags. But if I had a junior golf one and I wanted to send this video out to all of junior golf or all of, everybody in their list, that's all you would simply do is you go begin lesson. So I'll click the Academy button and I can hit add and I can filter by tag and I could just click junior golf, and everybody that's listed under junior golf or tagged under junior golf is going to show up here. So I can send out a mass video. So this would be great if you're just, doing a weekly demonstration or a weekly lesson for your juniors, right? So you break down maybe a professional's golf swing. and then you send them that lesson, maybe with a drill, maybe with a drill accompanying the video so that they can work on something. So you could use it for more than just delivering lessons. You could really communicate with groups through this. So it's really, really helpful. But for now, we've got Webinar Pro Studio as the student. We have the lesson ready to go. So we're gonna go ahead and click begin lesson. Actually, before I do, I wanna make sure that my microphone is working. Let's see. Hello, hello. Okay, so our microphone is working. So I'm gonna hit begin lesson. And I'm gonna talk right away, and you'll notice that the green bar right here is actually going up and down. So the system recognizes a microphone. If it does not recognize a microphone or does not hear you talking, it is gonna stop the lesson. All right, so that's a big one. If you're ever having issues where it says, you know, microphone not detected, well, then you need to make sure that you have a microphone plugged in. If it's plugged in and not working, maybe reset it. There's just some issue going on there. So go through that mic setup, make sure that you have that microphone working before you begin the lesson, okay? At this point, everything that I say or draw on the screen is getting recorded. So I could draw my lines to focus the student. You know, maybe I type in my memorized phrase here. Oh, we didn't save it. So we put in head down. Right, so we're putting in anything that we want. Everything that we say and do is getting recorded. When we're ready, there's a couple things I want to show you. We can hit this Academy button, which is now flashing a stop sign at me. So rather than hitting the record button, we're actually hitting the stop sign. So I hit the stop sign, and it gives me a lesson paused menu. So first of all, this is how you pause the lesson, which is important to know. If the phone rings or somebody comes into the shop, this is how you would pause it. If I want to resume it, I just click resume. So then maybe I'm ready to do a comparison. You know, I bring a different video in, I'm doing comparisons. You know, let's maybe set the impact point for this guy. We'll drag him back. Even though this is an impact, we're just going to set it. So now we can kind of click through, we can control both, and all of this is being recorded. When I'm ready, I'm going to click the stop sign right here under Academy, and I'm going to hit done. So I could either get rid of the lesson, I could resume the lesson, or I could click done. When I click done, it's going to take me to the lesson review page or lesson wrap up page. And the top video, which I'm going to pause before it starts playing, is just a chance to review what you said and what you drew on the screen. So this is a great opportunity to review the lesson, make sure that you like it. If you don't like it, obviously discard and start over. But a couple big tips here. One would be to change the title of the lesson. So we're going to change the title of the lesson to something that we are going to remember. So webinars first lesson. This makes it that much easier for you to remember. Otherwise, or for you to reference, otherwise all the videos are going to show up as V1 Pro Analysis or V1 lesson video. So if you don't want them to all look the same, definitely recommend changing the title. And then here on the left, you'll see these videos. If I click add, this is where I'm adding those drills and intro clips. So I have an intro clip or I have a drill video that I've set up, so I can add that to play before the lesson. If I want it to play after, I just simply click the down button, right? So now it's playing after my lesson video. And then maybe I wanted to add that other drill. So now I have a three-parter. So if I move this up, we have our intro clip here, our lesson video, and then our drill video. So this is where you're actually moving them around, deleting them, adding them. This is where you're working with those drills and intro clips. And again, if anybody needs, you know, further detail on this and needs some help, again, we'd be happy to do a one-on-one training session or a quick phone call with you. The last thing I want to point out on this lesson page is the boxes right above. So set as default wrap up. Drill videos are obviously more specific. They're going to be for specific golfers or specific swing faults that you're trying to fix or trying to help with. But the intro clip could be something that will play all the time. So what I would recommend is if you have an intro clip, like let's say this is our intro clip here, we set it there and then click set as default wrap up. And what that does is that makes it so that every time you do a lesson, it's going to have that intro clip show up before the lesson, okay? So I would definitely recommend utilizing that. The other box is an important one. So this is saving a copy of the lesson as a tab. So if you're saving a copy of the lesson as a tab, it's going to create one of those video blocks so that you have access to watch that lesson. If you don't click that and you hit send, this lesson is not going to be viewable by you unless you go into the student's locker and view it there. You will not have a copy of this lesson unless you click that box. So again, almost like the question mark, I don't know why anybody would ever not have that checked, but I would recommend always having save a copy of the lesson as a tab. The only reason why you might not is for storage reasons, but I know me personally as an instructor, I definitely would have always wanted that to be checked so that I would always have a copy. And like I said, discard just gets rid of it. If you want to start over, and then send now, which I'm going to press right now, is just going to send that lesson out. All right, so now we're done and we've sent our lesson to our student. They're going to go view it on their V1 Golf app, which we highly recommend. Again, if anybody's interested, on Friday, we are going to be doing a V1 Golf overview for the V1 Golf app, and we're going to tie in the sending and receiving lessons with that. So that's going to be the topic on Friday. So if anybody has any interest, please sign up for that webinar as well, and we'd be happy to walk you through all of that. So that's pretty much it for the system. We've gone over video storage up at the top, drawing tools and effects tools and the Academy buttons all on the right, and then we have the video controls at the bottom. And then again, to send a lesson, we want to make sure that we're going to our students, selecting somebody as the current student. So I'll do that for Will. So we select Will as the current student. You see it change down here and it changes up at the bin. And then when we're ready, we pull open a video. So let me find an actual golfer here. So I find a golf video. And when I'm ready, I hit the Academy button. And now I can begin my lesson. So I have begin lesson. I can click it. And I'm going to start rolling on beginning a lesson, okay? So that's pretty much it. If anybody has any questions, feel free to submit them to the chat box. I'm going to kind of monitor it here for a second. Jackson's going to be picking them off. And then again, reach out to us personally if you have any further questions beyond just submitting them in the chat box, all right? But thanks everybody for coming. We really appreciate you guys being with us during this difficult time. You know, we definitely want to mention how much you guys mean to us and how much we're willing to help you during this time. You know, hopefully you guys are viewing us as a solution right now. And that's why we're working so hard to try to make sure that everybody's capable of delivering these remote online lessons and keeping their business going during this difficult time. So thank you, everybody. And like I said, just submit your chat questions and we'll try to pick them off here for a little bit longer. And then we'll wrap up and hopefully we'll see you Friday. Thanks, guys.